John Hinkle presents The Story of World War I.
During the next 60 minutes, it will be my task to help you understand the history of the world of the First World War. Way back in 1944, my grade school teacher taught us that a crazy young man killed the future king of this country right here, Austria-Hungary. Now that's partially true, but it's not the whole answer. It will be helpful if I nail down some location, major players, and definitions. The army in the central portion are Austria-Hungary and Germany, and will be called the Central Powers. The opposite armies will be the three allies of France, England, and Russia, called the Allied Forces. Central Forces, Allied Forces. Eastern Front, Western Front. Now let's look at who the players were. Whole Queen Victoria is related by blood and marriage to everyone on this family tree. The Tsar and Tsarina of old Russia had a son, Alexander, who married the Danish princess Dagmar. Their son, Tsar Nicholas II, is Tsar at the start of the war. In England, here in green, old Queen Victoria's son Edward also marries a Danish prince, Alexander, sister to Dagmar, and that married the Tsar. Their son George is King of England during the war. Germany, in purple, Kaiser Wilhelm's son, is Frederick, who marries Queen Victoria's daughter Alice, and their son William II is Kaiser of the German fatherland. One last connection is that Tsar Nicholas is married to the granddaughter of Queen Victoria. Tsar, King, Kaiser. Just one big happy family.
August 2014 marked the 100th year observant of the start of the hostilities that lasted for 4 years and cost countless lives. The war to end all wars should never have happened. Mr. Hinkle will take the audience step by step through the twists and turns of the three cousins, the Kaiser of Germany, the Tsar of Russia, and the King of England, as they slipped into a quagmire of political alliances, dragging France, the United States, and others into situations much like the world is experiencing today. John Hinkle has been a puppeteer for 50 years, a librarian for 20 years, storyteller for 15 years, and a reenactor for 5 years. In this presentation, he will don the uniform of a World War I general and discuss who the players were, when it began, where World War I was fought, what made this war different, why it changed the world, and how it affected the future.
One of the things I like about this program is the interviews that I discovered from the people. One, for instance, one of the sailors, he's talking about being up at the very top of the ship, and he's seeing the fire, and he's seeing all of this and the smoke, and then all of a sudden the enemy ship fires. And he knows that within 15 seconds that 8,000 pounds of explosives is going to be there close to his ship. And he says if it lands, he won't know because he won't be in existence anymore. And then all of a sudden, it lands to his side. I think that, the nurses' example, the women ambulance drivers, the old vets talking about what the trenches were like, it's an impossible life in the trenches for these guys.
He carries with him individual-sized sets that will accommodate all venues, from the most intimate rooms to lecture halls and gymnasiums.
It was really, really interesting, and I think really, as John said, most people don't realize the connections, and to most people, World War I, and we're dealing with a generation that doesn't know anything about World War I, and all of our World War II veterans are gradually. So they were very interested in the causes and effects and the consequences that we're facing today. And that was the fascinating part of it, that, hey, this is real important what we're doing today. So I was doing the publicity for this. I went back and looked at a lot of those stories and those personal relationships with all the intermarriage between the aristocracy of the countries. It was really fascinating, and how they were all related in one way or the other. And cousins were arguing with cousins. No wonder there were all these conflicts. If the families couldn't get along as families, how could they get along as countries? So I was really interested because I had never looked at World War I as the generator of what's going on now. So, and then the wars through the last 100 years, they're just sort of names and titles of wars to us. But to really understand why they got started and what the conflicts, the ongoing conflicts, are about was an eye-opener to me.
To view the bibliography of the book jackets, movie titles, and songs from World War I, go to www.johnhinkle.net.